Hey, it's a Frank student here, and today we're going to be talking about threads in Java. So, a thread is something running a piece of code. So, technically, we can think of our public static void main as running a thread, and then we're going to be running all the code inside our public static void main thread. But what actually creating separate threads in Java allows us to have code that runs simultaneously. So, we can actually have two things running at the same time, but at the same time doesn't really exist on like one CPU at least. And I'm going to be showcasing how they're going to be running like separately and change. So one's be running for a few seconds and then up and down and change between them. Or if you have like some kind of more modern software and hardware, you could actually be able to have our threads running on separate CPUs and in that way actually run at the exact same time. So let's be demonstrating how to create threads in Java. So first, I will be creating a new class, which I am going to be calling print char. And what I'm going to do is actually have this class print some information, and I'm going to be printing two different threads. And then I'm going to be showcasing how these two threads are running at the same time. So first of all, I'll just create a simple print char class that simply takes a char called a char, and we're gonna get a private int, which is gonna be the time. So how many times you're gonna be printing something. And we're just gonna create a constructor, getting the char and the times. And then what we're gonna do for some class to be threadable, we would need to implement runnable, which forces us to implement run, which is in this spot where we're going to be telling the program what we're going to be do in this thread. So, for example, I would just like it to print our char as many times as we have the int time. So I'm just going to be creating a simple for I loop and int as long as int is smaller than times, just print our char. So very simple. So now what we can do inside our public static void main thread, we can actually just create a new print char a equals new print char, and we're going to be printing the char a 100 times. And I'm then going to be copying it and create a print char b, which is going to be printing b 100 times. So now we created our print char a and print char b. We're going to create some threads. So how we're going to be creating the thread is just going thread equals a new thread, and we're going to pass the parameter of an object which have the class that implements runnable, because that's allow us to run the threads. Because now the program knows that when we start running the threads, we're going to be running this part. So I would just simply pass print char a, and then I would copy and char thread a and thread b. There we go. Thread b. So now we're going to be starting the threads, going thread a dot start and thread b dot start. And now when we start running them, we can see that they're technically running at the same time, kinda, but how it works is we actually have a change between running A, then running B, then running A, then running B, then running A, then running the rest of the B's. So they're changing like back and forward between these A's and B's, and we could try running it again, and we would get a different outcome. So that's the point of the threads, where they are running at the same time, kinda, which a single CPU program like this does by changing very fast between thread A and thread B. So that's the basics of the threads. you create a class implementing runnable, which overrides the run method, which tells us how or what we're going to be doing when we're starting, our thread, create a thread, and pass the parameter as mentioned, and then start them. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I wish you all a wonderful day.